Let's start from the very beginning. There's a false narrative in the Western media and amongst many Western politicians that China tried to cover up the the origins of the coronavirus in Wuhan, and that there was a lack of transparency, and they were denying, the fact that the epidemic had begun. And that's just not true. The first indication that there was a new coronavirus similar to SARS spreading in Wuhan was in the middle of December. Now, we've traced the first patient to maybe the end of November or the beginning of December, but before it got to the level where the medical establishment was aware of this new viral pneumonia that they couldn't identify was about mid to late December. At that time, the doctors in charge contacted the Chinese CDC, that's the medical oversight committee, informing them of this new disease that had cropped up. At the same time that they were doing that, Dr. Li Wenliang, the so-called whistleblower, was communicating to some of his colleagues that there was this new disease and they should take care. When that got to be known to the local medical authorities, they wanted to know, well, what's going on here? Why are you spreading this story? It hasn't been confirmed. And he was reprimanded, and then, he went back to work. Now, the Western media seized upon that as somehow, that there was a whistleblower who was ignored and reprimanded, and China tried to cover things up. At the very same time that this Dr. Li was communicating his unauthorized communication with colleagues, the knowledge of the virus was going through the proper channels. Investigation was begun, and within another 2 weeks, when we get into early January, proactive measures were implemented to try to clamp on the virus. And within 2 weeks into the new year, in January 21st, I think it was, Wuhan was locked down. So China acted extremely quickly and very proactively and with transparency. And this false narrative that China tried to cover up and deny what was going on it's just not true. And it's just used to try to defame and denigrate China. And then once China did impose these restrictions, they were called draconian and a human rights abuse and this and that and the other thing. All the time, China, basically bit the bullet. They were taking the full brunt of this new disease, which they identified and sequenced and all of that. While the world just sat back and sort of ridiculed China, and with all sorts of racist attacks and, denigrating of Chinese culture and society. And now it's all come back to bite them. They had 2 months to prepare for the onslaught of this virus. And any epidemiologist would tell you that a virus cannot be, contained at its source of origin if Wuhan was its source of origin. There's a big debate going around that. But nonetheless, China was able to restrict its spread within China itself, by containing and controlling it with this very proactive, lockdown of Wuhan and the surrounding province of Hubei, so that the virus never did escape into the rest of the country. Sure, there were a few cases in other provinces. They were very manageable. Wuhan and Hubei took the big hit. They had, a very large number of cases and, unfortunately, around 3,000 deaths. But if that virus Now that we know about how contagious it is and how lethal it is, it's twice as contagious as the seasonal flu. It could be 10 to 20 times as lethal. If that had spread out into the rest of China, and if the projections that the Western media has put forth as to how it might spread in the United States and Germany, like 40, 50, 60% of the population coming down with the virus, if this had spread into China with a population of 1.4 billion, you're talking about millions of people dying, elderly and and those with compromised immune systems and pre-existing medical conditions. It would have been a total catastrophe. But China was able to control and contain it, and basically China's virtually virus free now. So instead of 30 million people dying, 3,000 died. Instead of 800 million people getting the virus, 80,000 cases were identified. I mean, this is a wonderful victory of the Chinese people, led by the Communist Party of China and their leader Xi Jinping. And how can you deny that? And then you look at the Western response, which was, they were just dithering. They were ridiculing and making fun of China and saying, ha, 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 we don't have to worry. And you have Trump whistling a happy tune. It's all going to go away. It's be a miraculous, recovery and all. And now look where things are at. They had 2 months to prepare, to get everything in order, and they did nothing. And now they're caught with their pants down, and they're talking about how this is going to last for months on end, and you have to flatten the curve. China didn't flatten the curve. They attacked and defeated the virus. And the US and Western Europe and the UK, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the resolve, they don't have the esprit de corps, they don't have the facility to do anything approaching what China did. And it just shows how superior the Chinese system of governance is over that of the Western so-called democracies.